All right, boys, super excited to jump into this build. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, and you guys seem to get a lot of value from these over the shoulder build with me videos. And to be honest, there's not a ton of people on YouTube doing them in as much detail as I do, whilst also giving you the exact resources. So super keen to get into this one. Before we do, there's a few things you're going to need. Number one is the blueprint to this make.com scenario and the exact prompt that I'm going to be using for this. Now, what this make.com scenario does, if you haven't heard of Make before, it is a no-code automations platform similar to N8N. Maybe you've heard of that one. But essentially what this is going to do for us is it's going to allow our agent to schedule, reschedule, and cancel appointments. Now, you've probably watched some YouTube tutorials before, and maybe you've done some basic builds, but if you actually want to sell an AI phone agent for a substantial amount of money, I'm talking like a few $1,000s to a real business, you're going to need cancellation and reschedule capabilities, because that is a lot of what receptionists do on the day-to-day admin work, is cancel and reschedule appointments. So if you can give a phone agent that answers questions well, has decent latency, but also cancels and reschedules, you're actually going to justify a higher price, and you're going to blow your competition out of the water, because not a lot of people are offering that. So I have pre-built this automation for you. All you need to do is plug and play. And if you head over to our school community, it's completely free. Be able to join instantly. You see the link below to join the school. You will get the blueprint for this make.com scenario and the prompt. So to do so, head over to the YouTube resources section of the school, or just search up GPT phone agent and then download these two resources. Now, once you do download the make.com scenario, all you need to do is simply click import blueprint and then just go and drag that one in. So I've just imported the blueprint, and then when I hit save, it will automatically build it out for me, and voila, you're ready to rob. So now let's head back into our voice AI platform. So we're going to be using Retail in this video. Now, Retail is awesome. It's super, super simple for beginners. You don't have to do any coding. You pay as you go, meaning there's no monthly subscriptions you got to pay for, and you get a free phone number as well. So make an account with Retail AI, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so now that you're in Retail, all we're going to do is hit create an agent, voice agent, and then a single prompt agent. Now, as I said before, you're going to want to get the prompting document from the school, and then all I'm going to do is paste this prompt, and then you're going to paste that prompt into the prompt section here. Now, if you want to use a different prompt, what I'm going to be doing here is for a med spa today. If you want to do this for a chiropractor clinic, a dental clinic, a landscaping, any other type of business, I would recommend sticking this in ChatGPT, telling it to modify it for the type of business that you want, and then making any small tweaks you need to. Now, another way, this is a really cool resource that I like to give everyone that watches my videos in doing voice agents, in generating the perfect prompt yourself, is head over to this link here, and this is also in the YouTube resources thing, is basically a prompt generator. So you just stick all the information you need in here. And if you're super, super lazy, what you can do is just screenshot these different fields, or just screenshot this form, put it in ChatGPT, and give ChatGPT some instructions and say, fill this out. So you prompt ChatGPT to fill out this prompt generator tool that's going to prompt your other AI. So it's a bit of a AI circle jerk, but it does work very, very well. So once you've pasted that in, we're going to hit save. Now, let's run through this prompt quickly. You are a central med spa assistant. This is the identity here, telling it what this AI is doing, and this will give it some context on how to act and how to respond in different situations. Current date as a custom variable. This is going to be used for booking. Funny thing about AI is that it can write advanced code. It can, scrape the internet for thousands of data points, but it doesn't actually know the current date and time unless you give it that, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. But anyway, so we've got style, how to respond to certain things, tasks, and goals. So this is going to provide information, assist with bookings, and guide users. Some recommendations there, key instructions, and then this is the important stuff, how to schedule appointments, reschedule, and cancel as well. So if you don't have specific instructions on when to use these functions, what questions to ask, it's not going to work very well. And adding those cancel, schedule, and reschedule functions is something we're going to do in a second. Now, the whole point of this video is testing these voice agents with GPT-5. So what you're going to do is click the model here and then change it. Now, I would recommend going with GPT-5 Mini Fast Tier. Fast Tier means the latency is just a little bit better. You get a priority request. So the sort of trade-off here is GPT-5 is going to give you the best answers, but it's going to be the most expensive, and Nano is going to be the least expensive but give you the worst answer. So a good middle ground, as I said, is the 5 Mini Fast Tier. Now, you can change the voice here. This is I think this is an 11 Labs voice here. The one that I always go with because I'm in Australia and like an Australian accent is Charlie, which is pretty solid. And these retail voices, they sort of pre-tweak the settings of the 11 Labs voices. So you get pretty good optimizations out of the box. Now, as tempting as it is to change the language to Chinese or Hindi, I'm not going to, as much as I'd like to troll some callers. I'm going to keep it in English. Now, the next thing is some small settings to change to just make your phone agents that much better than your competition. Now, these are all small changes, but if you do enough of them, you can actually see quite a substantial and noticeable difference with your voice agent. So speech settings, background sound, this will just have something in the background. Now, most actual customer service calls with humans or receptionist calls do have a bit of background noise instead of just, pure silence and just the AI talking. So this can make it seem a little bit more human. You don't want to have it too loud though. So let's just go with call center. Responsiveness, always have this at 1, means the latency is going to be better, and interruption sensitivity close to 1 is always a good option. Enable speech normalization. Now this one has a bit of a trade-off. Now what this will do is actually, for example, when it's reading out a phone number, instead of saying like 04 100 750 433, it's actually going to read out a phone number like you would read out a phone number. Same with currency and dates. However, this does increase the latency a little bit by like 100 milliseconds. So I would only enable this if you know your call is going to be reading back phone numbers or emails. Otherwise, just leave this off. Now, the other thing is under call settings. Voicemail detection is a good one, which means you're not going to get charged, or the AI is going to basically turn off after voicemail is detected, and then set a maximum call duration to like 5 or 10 minutes, because you don't want people trolling the AI and just talking forever and spending money that you don't need to. So those are all the settings we're going to change for now. Okay, now we're going to hit publish and attach an inbound phone number. So I'm going to select this one here, which is just a default number that I've got. Now, retail does give you free numbers, which is pretty nice. So if you don't have one, just head into phone numbers here, and then you can just click buy new number. Okay, they're not free, never mind. $2, basically free. Now, the cool thing about retail is you can test your agent directly in the browser here instead of having to call the number. So if you want to test your agent and test the prompt you've currently got, you are more than welcome to do so now. However, what we're going to do is actually connect this agent to the make.com scenario via a webhook, so that all of the information that the agent collects on the call, it actually sends to this cancel, reschedule, and schedule workflow. So to do that, we're going to come in here and click on custom function. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's a pre-built check availability and book one here. You can do this, and it is easier. I'll be honest, you don't get the cancel and reschedule function, so you do have to do them externally anyway. But I also just want to give you guys the skills to think outside the box and actually be able to build some of these automations yourself instead of just getting these pre-built ones. So, if you're lazy, you can do that. Anyway, we're going to first do the reschedule function here. So when the user wants to reschedule an appointment, now for the URL here, what you're going to do is go into the webhook here, and you're going to hit add. And we can call this retail med spa YouTube agent. You can call this whatever you want, really. And then we're just going to copy the address to clipboard here and then paste it in. Now, once we pasted it in, we're actually going to tell the agent and tell the function what information we want to send. And we've got to be specific about this. So I'd recommend coming into parameters here, and then we're going to add the information. So number one is going to be we'll do customer instead of user, customer name, the name of the user, leave this as a string. Next one, then current appointment time, the current time of the appointment in the format day, month, year, hour, minute. Then new appointment time, because for this reschedule one, there is a current appointment time and then what they're rescheduling to. So we need both of those times. And then I can actually just copy this and just call this the current time of the appointment, the time of the new appointment, Let's actually reword this one. The time of the current appointment. And then we're also going to add here to number. Now, sometimes this includes this by default, but we do want to just add this anyway. Awesome. And then we can hit save. Okay, now we're going to add another one, and this is just going to be the schedule function. The user wants to schedule an appointment. We're going to, again, put that same URL in, and we're going to add similar parameters here. So this is going to be, again, customer name. The next one here is customer email, the email of the user. And then the last one here is going to be new appointment time. And we're going to call this one. And then this will be the time the user wants to book an appointment in the format day, month, year, hour, minute. And then same thing here to number. Cool. And then we can hit save. Now, the last one we're going to do here is the cancel function. So again, custom function, cancel. The user wants to cancel an existing appointment. We're going to put the same URL in, and we're going to add our parameters. Now, this one is very similar. It's just going to be customer name, the name of the user, and then current appointment time. This is the current appointment time in the format day, month, year, hour, minute. Cool. And then the number one more time. All right, so now we've got all of our functions set up and ready to roll. All right, so now what we're going to do is basically just use one of these functions and send some data to this, because it says stop here. That is basically waiting for some data to see what the structure looks like. So I'm going to go into retail. I'm going to name this one actually YouTube MedSpa GPT-5 Agent. Cool. And we're going to test it. Hello. Hello.
Hi, you've reached Central Med Spa. How can I help you today?
I'd like to reschedule an appointment, please.
Sure, I can help reschedule. What's your full name?
John Johnson.
Thanks, John. What day and time is your current appointment scheduled for?
Tomorrow at 2 p.m.
What date and time would you like the new appointment to be scheduled for?
The following day at the same time, too.
Got it. You want to move it to the day after tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Okay, so it started tripping up there because we haven't fully set this up. But if this now says successfully determined, that means something's been sent across and it's actually received data, and it's figured out what is the format of the data that's coming across from retail. Now, if you run this one more time, you hit run once here and you do the call again, you'll actually see the data coming through. So I'm going to do that. Alrighty, so if you did that correctly, you will now see that this says 1, or has a tick next to it. Now you can actually see what data has been sent across to this webhook, which is receiving data. That's basically what a webhook is. A webhook is essentially sending data from one platform to another. Now, this is the information that I put in here. And if you expand these out, you'll be able to see even more info, like the transcript, for example. So what we're now going to do is configure the rest of these. Now, what we do need to do is when these different ones trigger, the reschedule, schedule, or cancel, they're going to go down the different branches depending on which function they are. So what you need to do when you click on these, your condition variable might say something a little different here. The one you want to ensure it is name here. So click that one. If it looks different, just change it to that and delete the existing one. So Now you just want to copy that variable and then paste it into the reschedule and the cancel one here. Now, for the actual name of what it needs to equal to, this is case sensitive. So if it doesn't match exactly as you've written it in here, it's not going to work. So make sure it is, and then just hit save on all of them. Now, let me run you through what all of these steps do. So this date range one is basically going to find the date or get the date that this person said on the call, and then it's going to add 72 hours to that date. And I'll explain why in a second. It then gives that 72-hour block to this find available slots one. Now, we're going to connect this to cal.com. Cal.com is like a scheduling platform where you can connect your calendars and stuff. And we're basically going to go to cal.com and say, hey, what slots are available of this 72-hour block? It's going to send those slots back. This ChatGPT module is going to compare the original time that the user requested, compare it with the available times from cal.com, and basically just say yes or no if that was available. If it's true, it's going to book it and then send a response hook, which is sending the data back to retail saying, yep, you're all good and booked. And if the output was false, meaning the slot wasn't available, it's going to find the next available slot from that 72-hour block and then send a response hook back to retail saying, hey, that wasn't available, but here are some other times, and then give them the time. So the reason that this date range module gets 72 hours and cal.com gives us 72 hours worth of slots is if this time isn't available, it's already got alternative times on standby. If this was just asking for one slot, it would be a yes and a no, and then this would just go back to retail saying, no, that wasn't available. And then this would have to run again to find more availability. And this way, we've already got the other availability there on standby, and it just reduces the latency and the friction in the call. So that's the schedule branch. The reschedule branch is very similar, except it adds this search events one. So it searches the current appointment time using their name and then deletes it, or updates it rather, with the new time. And then the cancel is very similar, finds the event, deletes it. Now, if you don't want to use cal.com here, you can just do a Google Calendar module, but this is more flexible. Some people don't use Google Calendar, and if that's you, this will be easier for you. And I'll show you how to connect to cal.com in a second. So we're going to go bit by bit and just configure this whole thing. So what you're going to do here is basically put in your cal.com information. So go to cal.com. And then when you're signing in or creating your account, you will connect like your Google Calendar or whatever you want to use. And then all you need to do is basically click on this individual thing and copy this number here for the calendar in the URL. That's your calendar ID. And the way you want to paste it is event type ID in here. Now, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to share sensitive information. That applies more so to the API key. So that's what you're going to paste in there. Now, the next thing you're going to do is get your API key. Now, if you go into Cal, hit settings, and then go to your API keys, you basically just copy that key and then paste it where it says here. Now, you also need to change your time zone because I assume you're not in Melbourne. So yes, pretty self-explanatory. Make sure that's formatted correctly. You can ask ChatGPT if you're unsure. And that is that. Now, once you've got all that correct information, the API key and the event ID, I would recommend just copying that and then pasting it into this one here as well. Now, the next thing you're going to do is, once you've got that sorted, is connect your Google Calendar. So you just want to sign in with Google Calendar directly and then select the actual calendar you want to use. And then you pretty much should be good to roll. Do the same with this Google Calendar module, this Google Calendar module, and this Google Calendar module as well. And that one. And then that's basically all the configuring that you need to do. I've spent quite a few hours making sure that everything sort of works out of the box so you don't have to play around with this. But at the same time, I don't want you guys to turn into just vegetables who just get handed something. And don't use your brains is essentially what I'm saying. So even though it is working out of the box, I want you to actually look through these modules, run some tests, and see how it all works. So, all right, now one last thing before we test, which I realized I didn't do before, is you need to make these variables required. Otherwise, it's going to trigger and not send the data. So go through all of the schedule, cancel ones, and just make sure all of the variables that you've got there are ticked as required. Now, let's test. Okay, so I've got my scenario on as immediately as data arrives, and now let's test all three of these branches to make sure they're working. First, scheduling an appointment.
Welcome to Central Med Spa. How can I help you today?
I'd like to schedule an appointment, please, sir.
Sure, let's get you booked in. What's your email address?
john@gmail.com.
So that's jon@gmail.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, great. And what's your full name?
John Smith.
What date and time works best for your appointment?
I'd like to book at 2 p.m. tomorrow, please.
I think, John, 2 p.m. tomorrow is unavailable. We can offer 9 a.m. tomorrow instead. Would you like to take that time?
Yes, I would. So you can see, whilst we didn't actually book an appointment, we tested the harder variation of this workflow, which is actually realizing that the slot's not available and then sending the other or the next available slot back, which, as you said, as you saw in that call, it said 9 o'clock. So now we're going to move over to the reschedule branch.
Welcome to Central Med Spa. How can I help you today?
I'd like to reschedule, please.
Sure, I can help with that. What's your full name?
Ben Webb.
Thanks, Ben. What date and time is your current appointment at?
My current appointment is 11 a.m. on Tuesday, the 26th.
Thanks. And what date and time would you like to move it to?
I'd like to move it to Wednesday at 11 a.m.
Sure, I can help with that. To confirm, your current appointment is 11 a.m. on Tuesday, the 26th. You'd like to move it to 11 a.m. on Wednesday. Is that correct?
That's correct. Right now, if we go and check our Google Calendar, you can see that it's deleted the Tuesday appointment and moved it across to Wednesday. Okay, now if we look at the Google Calendar, yeah, there you go. So it's deleted the Tuesday appointment for 11 and moved it across to Wednesday. Now, back to the scenario. I'm not going to test the cancel branch because I'm sure you get the gist at this point. So thank you for actually taking action, because if you watch these videos and you don't actually get the muscle memory of building these modules and putting things in, you're going to forget all this information in 2 days' time, right? It's really important that you actually follow along and do these builds. Now, if you watched this far, you probably did. So thank you very much for doing so. So that does it for this video. If you want more valuable content like this video, A to Z builds of voice agents or other AI automation, a 15-hour course on starting your business and succeeding in selling AI automations. It's all in the school community. So if you're not already in there, you're a numpty. Enough from me. I'll see you in the next video.